Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. This is the Environmental Conservation Board. Today is January 20th, 2022. We have an agenda that we're going to follow, and the first applicant is Suez Water New York, Inc., London Bridge Wells, 39 Brook Street, tree cutting, 25 trees. Could you please state your name and who you're here to represent?
Thank you. Yes, I'm John Kirkpatrick. I'm a city planner and attorney, and I'm here representing Suez Water.
Okay, so you want to explain to us what you're planning to do?
Sure. Well, Suez is a public utility. They operate several small water supplies in the town. The four that are here before you tonight, starting with the one you just read off, were originally owned and operated by a private company known as Forest Park. There were problems, and 2 years ago, the New York State Health Department required Suez to take them over. So Suez has been operating them ever since. Then the next thing that happened is that the state health decided that they wanted additional treatment in order to address the possibility of what's called PFAS chemicals in the water. Some of the wells exceed what the state health department says is allowed. So it's necessary to add an additional treatment. It's a big carbon filter.
Carbon or using air strippers? Carbon or air strippers?
Carbon.
Carbon. And you're not here for that. You're here for trees.
Exactly. Well, in order to put in these big filters and the building, it's necessary to take out a few trees. Now, normally, of course, we would just do this in one step, basically with the planning board. But we're under a very tight timeline. The health department has given us until August to have these filtration systems in service. And we, as you probably know, because of the bat regulations, we can only cut trees up until March 31st this year. Then we have to stop and can't start up again until October 1st next year.
Right.
So we are pursuing site plan approval with the planning board, but there are lots of other issues like access, easements, on-site generators, and the like. All of that has to be resolved, and we have to have the public hearings. So we're running out of time. So we've made application to see if we couldn't get just the tree cutting done, and that's what we want to talk to you about tonight. So the gentleman behind me is engineering manager with Suez. That's Steve Garabed. And this handsome dude over here is Dave Rimlod. He's a project engineer from Creamer Engineers. So he's going to take you through, one after the other, the four applications.
Okay, we have to do this. The story can be, we got the story for all four.
Yes.
Because of procedural things, we're going to have to go each one. Okay, so let's do one. If we're good with it, we'll vote on it. Approve it, disapprove it, whatever, close it, go to the next one.
Great.
Okay?
Great.
It's because you're my agenda tonight.
Understood. Dave?
You want to give him a microphone? There's an extra one right there, next to you, right in front of your face.
Listen.
Okay.
Can you guys all see the screen over here?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so this is a zoomed-in view of the London Bridge tree removal plan. Basically, anything marked with an X over here is what is planned on being removed. In total, on this site, there are 25 trees for removal. They vary in sizes. The diameter of the sizes are 6 to 24 inches. And we are hoping to get this approved so we can start the tree cutting process in the timeline of October 1st to March 31st.
How are you gonna, what's your operation for cutting the trees down? Are you using logging equipment? Are you using chainsaws? What's your procedure for cutting the trees down?
So we have a subcontractor, Downs Tree Service, already bought out that we are going to plan on using. I'm not entirely sure on their exact methods of cutting down the trees, but they are the industry standard. We use them all the time for any of our tree cutting operations.
And I can appreciate what you're saying to me, but I kind of got to know how you're doing it, right? So are you doing it with chainsaws, dropping them, cutting them up, using a mulcher, or are you going in there with logging equipment? Because there's a distinct difference between the two, right? If I go in there with logging equipment, which is diesel and hydraulic loaded, if you have a broken line, we're going to want spill kits, right? If you're going in there with chainsaws, then we can just say, okay, chainsaws, mulching it up, doing whatever, and we're good to go. But I kind of got it, and then the stumps, are you leaving the stumps, or are the stumps coming out? And if the stumps are coming out, are you grinding them? And I'm not trying to be difficult about this, it's just, these are just some, because you're near a water source, right? And I want to just make sure that we're, and are these in the wetland buffer? Have you identified the wetland buffer on this, or are these nowhere in the buffer at all?
So on this site, we are not impacting the wetlands at all. None of the trees are in the wetlands. They are directly outside of the wetland delineated
But are they
area.
within the 100-foot buffer?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so then that means you're limited to what you can do for cutting them down, right?
Right. I mean, we'll probably have to look into that. It's been my experience, what I've seen on most of our sites is we use the chainsaw, we drop them, and then they chip them.
I don't have a problem with that, but again, I would like, at a minimum by Monday, because this is a tree cutting permit. This is either you do it or you don't. So, I mean, if everything, we go through this and we're happy with it, I'll do it contingent on, I'd like to have a sequence of operation, a procedure of how you're doing this. I'm not looking for, the safety procedure, the safety protocol is that, no heavy equipment will be used, all trees will be chopped down via using chainsaws, gas cans will be stored outside the 100-foot buffer. I just need, because you're in the buffer, it makes it a little bit more fun.
Sure. It's a sensitive area. We understand. We can get you that information.
So, anybody else have anything they want to? All right, so, have you read the code?
I have it right here.
Okay. A written statement from the landowner that each tree removed has been designated with paint or other distinctive means for being cut? Number 3, under section 142-8, tree cutting operations. Okay, so this is what they want as a sketch map, right? A written summary of the proposed operation to include total area involved in operation, the number of trees in each species to be cut. You hit that. The range inches in diameter. Oh, I didn't give you this. I'm sorry. Sorry. You gave us the maple, the ash, the oak, and 6 24-inch diameter. So you have that covered. And it's right here on the application. You gave us the Department of Wildlife. You gave us the DEC, DOH. For staging. Okay. Again, I'm just initial review here. If we look at the code, which is on your application as well, The boundaries of the property, check. Access roads into the property. Are these the roads already there, or how? The roads, access roads?
They're
In and out?
right here, yep.
Okay. Area within the property where tree cutting will occur. Shown as the X's, fine. Location and size of product loading area. So how you're gonna load out the trees.
We were told by Rose that this was not something that we needed to include in our tree cutting permit.
All right. Any area of property defined as a wetland by the town of Carmel wetland law. Did you show the 100-foot buffer on here?
It does not show the buffer, but it shows the wetland boundary.
Could you show that to me? Because I'm old.
Yes, so
and
the wetland is located right here. See where the mouse pad is?
Yeah.
And this boundary is in this perimeter over here.
Okay, so you're not in the wetland, but if I take that line, if I take this line, 100 foot out, where does that put you?
Let me just scale that out for you. Give me 1 second.
I love these kids. I'd be still using my pinky.
I still like a pad and a pen myself.
So for reference, from this specific line over here is 137 feet to the end of the road. So yes, there are trees.
So the
that
trees are in the wetland,
in the buffer.
in the buffer, in the buffer.
Yes.
Okay. So because they're in the 100-foot buffer, right, so at a minimum, you, I'd like to see, I need a procedure, okay? If you're cutting them down with chainsaws, I'm fine with it. If you're gonna, mulch them up with the machine to mulch them up, great. Just gotta show me where they're gonna be staged. Are they gonna be sitting in the wetlands doing this? Because if they're sitting in the wetlands, I'd like to have some filter fabric installed around the wetland. You're gonna have to install it anyway for when you build your buildings,
Oh,
right?
the erosion control.
Erosion control. So, if you're gonna be, I'm gonna use your map for a minute, because everybody else can see it then. Leave it right here. So if you're going, this is an area, so are you gonna put the trucks here, in here, to start mulching and getting this, you drop the trees down onto the proposed gravel road, you'll cut them up, you'll throw them in the truck, you'll mulch them, whatever. I gotta know what, we have to see a plan.
Sure, we'll get you a procedure.
Okay, so just provide a procedure. And then the last item on here, no stages, right? It's gonna be done in one activity. You're not doing half and coming back. You're doing them all at once.
Right, it'd be one day or part of a day or whatever it takes them, but yeah.
Okay, and then you're cutting these trees down. Are you proposing to reinstall additional trees?
Yes, we have a landscape restoration plan as part of the, the rest of the project. After we construct the building on site, we're going to have, we have a whole landscaping plan that we're reviewing with the planning board.
Okay. And those would be, the area within the property where cutting will occur, location and size product loading areas, tax map lot, any area of property defined as the wetlands of the town of Carmel wetlands law. I have to see freshwater wetlands. You're just gonna have to make some provisions for that, right? Because now, are you gonna put the road in first, or are you gonna put the cut the trees down, come back when you do the road?
No, we're gonna cut the trees first.
Okay.
When we
You're
build
gonna
the
have to come
road,
back
that's,
now.
okay. I mean, that's why we're here, to start the process, but,
If you were outside the buffer, there's no issue.
right.
But because you're in the buffer, you're gonna have to come back here just to show the building, and you'll have to do some wetland some mitigation, most likely, just for the size of the building.
So-
Rain garden, whatever.
Right, but we're working through that with the planning board.
Okay.
But,
Have all the trees been painted?
yes. I just want to make sure I'm clear on when we come back or we provide the next information, we're going to, obviously, there's a procedure, but you want to see the trees without the building there to kind of show
No, you could leave
those
the building there.
conditions?
You say proposed.
Yeah,
You say proposed.
right, but we're not going to install the road or anything. All that will be, needs to be approved by the planning board prior to us constructing it. So it's just, going to be existing conditions.
Okay, they talk about landings here and stuff like that. That's when you use, heavy logging equipment and stuff. We're not, so I need a procedure on how the work has been done. I need to know the type of equipment to be used, basically in the procedure. And if you're using heavy equipment, I need to see the landing area, provisions for the wetland, soil erosion measures.
You'd question the stumps. It is my understanding we're just going to cut the trees at this point, and the stumps will be removed when we would do the
When they dig
construction.
the
Yes.
foundation.
Right, so there should not be soil disturbance at this time. It's just a tree removal.
Okay, just
portion.
state that on here, tree removal,
Just,
tree removal only, stumps to be removed at a later time.
okay.
It's been a while since I've had tree cutting permits. I've had people in here with pitchforks. Okay, you're good with that. Okay, you guys good?
Yeah.
You?
You mentioned, are the trees being chipped or removed fully?
Yeah, he's gonna put that in his
Part of the
procedure.
sequence?
Okay, I mean, I mean, if it's up to, we could accept the application, because I know they're in a deadline,
Okay.
but contingent on the fact, if it's okay with you.
No.
Do you think you can get this information in by Monday morning before noon?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. For application number 1, and here's the permit, Nick, the deed. So, I make a motion to accept the tree cutting permit for 39 Brook Street to Suez Water with the following conditions. That by Monday, January 24th, it has to submit the following. It has to submit a procedure on how the work is going to be performed, type of equipment to be used, show a landing area, any staging areas on the process, for the work, provide information on soil erosion measures, and provide a statement on the stumps whether or not to be removed or removed at a later time. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, if we don't get this by before noon, then you have to come back the next meeting,
Okay.
okay?
And that goes to Rose? Is that how that?
It goes to Rose.
Okay.
And it's better if you get it to her via electronic, because then she'll get that to me electronically.
And if that's all acceptable, then you issue the permit?
Well, yeah, then if it's all acceptable, I don't think this has to be advertised.
Because there's a procedure for you to issue a waiver of an actual permit.
Yes, I know that, but I can only issue a waiver for the actual permit if I have all the information,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah. We haven't even applied for a waiver yet. We were just asking how to go about this.
I've never given one. I usually get people here when they cut down 100 trees and somebody finds it, you know what I mean? I'll give you the permit, we'll grant the permit, it's just that I have to have this information by,
Sure,
okay?
great, great.
Okay, next application is to Suez Water for 70, let me have this stuff, hold on. I don't want to mix the paperwork up. Okay, next application is to Suez Water New York, Inc., 70 Guymer Road, tree cutting, 6 trees. Please state your name and who you're here to represent.
I'm John Kirkpatrick, representing Suez Water, and with me here, same people, and David will do the presentation on this particular application.
Okay, it's 6 trees, man, it's not a lot of trees.
At this Guymer site, which is shown here, these trees are also a lot smaller. Without painting them, we can tell they're pretty small. The biggest size of the diameter of the tree is 9 inches. At this site, they are in that 100-foot buffer on one end, they're right on the border, as you can tell, based on the drawings. But there's only 6 that need to be removed for this site.
Okay. So again, I just need to know, I need to have, for number 2, same stuff as number 1.
Yes,
So I need a procedure of how you're doing the work, type of equipment to be used, landing, staging area, soil erosion measures, and stumps.
yes.
Okay, let's just go through this sort of, say I looked. Could you show, because this drawing's not that good, can you show me the 6 that you're removing?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, and where's the wetland? Limit of wetlands is right up there.
Right up on the border here. And I kind of lose it right in the building. It's just right behind there. Reappears that right over here.
Okay, can you, move in, when you submit your other stuff, just submit a drawing, this drawing showing the 100-foot buffer?
Okay, yes.
Okay, you know that's from the furthest point of the wetlands out, right?
Yeah, these would all be in that buffer, all 6 of them.
Again, you're gonna, because you're in the buffer, you're not in the wetlands, you're in the buffer, it's a little better than that. You know, if you're going in there with logging equipment, then we're gonna have to do, you know, you got to, it's probably gonna make divots in the ground, possibly you'll have to just do some restoration, but that's why you have to give us the procedure, okay? So add a note, so I'll give you the same deal today, because I know you're under a time crunch, and people need their water. So I'm gonna ask for a procedure, so do I have a motion to accept the application for permit for 70 Guymer Road, tree cutting 6 trees at the location, with the following conditions. 1, that by noon on Monday, all the required documents will be submitted. Provide a procedure on how they're performing the work, type of equipment to be used, landing areas, their staging, soil erosion measures if necessary, stumps, and a drawing depicting the 100-foot buffer.
I'll make that motion.
Okay?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so number 1 and 2 is just add one more food for thought here. If you're using logging equipment, you're gonna need to show a spill kit and a fueling plan.
What was the first thing?
Spill kit,
Gotcha.
and no equipment could be stored on site or within the buffer. It has to be stored outside the buffer, okay? I know I'm adding stuff on now, but
It's okay.
the 2 more, I'll probably have it right. And that's only if required, right? Okay. Next. Okay. Third item on the agenda is Suez Water, New York, 59 McNair Drive, tree cutting, 16 trees. Could you please state your name, who you're here to represent?
I'm John Kirkpatrick, representing Suez Water. With me here tonight is Steve Garabed, engineering manager with Suez, and David Rimland, who's the project engineer with Creamer Engineering.
Okay.
David?
David, take it away.
So this is the Chateau tree removal plan. As you can see, there's a couple of trees that are being removed right on the edge of the wetland, right where the proposed building is, and then some trees being removed by the proposed gravel driveway over here. There are a total of 16 trees.
Okay. And where is the wetland?
So the wetland, and I can probably highlight it too.
Okay, so you're well within the 100-foot buffer
Yes.
for everything?
For all the trees, yes.
Okay. Some they may even be in the wetland.
Right on the edge.
Living on the edge. Okay, so you're really close to so you may want to think about silt fence on that one because you're right along the edge. And, all right, so for this one, number 3, again, I need to have more details, right? So I would need a procedure for how you're doing the work, type of equipment to be used, landing area staging, soil erosion measures, stumps, drawing depicting the 100-foot buffer and the wetlands, and spill kit fueling plans. You're probably going to have to come to us after the planning board for an ECB permit. So just a heads up on that. Right. So it's only 16 trees. They needed to do their construction. Does anybody else have any comments or questions, concerns?
No.
Okay, so do I have a motion to accept the application for 59 McNair Drive with the following conditions, that by noon on Monday, they provide the following information, need a procedure how they're performing the work, type of equipment to be used, landing area staging, soil erosion measures, stumps to be removed and or a later date, drawing depicting the 100-foot buffer, spill kit fueling plant if required, if you're using logging type equipment, okay? And then it would be a restoration plan if you use heavy equipment to remove the trees, right? So if you're using one of those loggers to cut trees down and it rips up, you're gonna have to just grade the area, right?
Not for, if we just drop a tree and we got a divot or something.
Yeah, that's, God would have put the divot there. All right, so do I have a motion to accept the application for 59 McNair Drive as proposed?
You said silt fence.
Silt fence as needed.
Okay. I make that motion?
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so for this one, we'll give you same conditions as the other stuff. I understand your time crunch, so I don't really want to hamper you. You have to have this done by when?
August.
Are you having the buildings prefabbed?
They are, yes, they're prefabricated steel structures. So, but, as, you know, we're still going through the permitting process, and we have a
You'll
lot
just
of work to do.
Pick them and plop them down.
Hopefully, they'll go up fairly quickly, and soon, too, because the treatment equipment will be here in March.
All right, next application is behind 34 Coventry Circle. The applicant is Suez Water, New York. Tree cutting, 14 trees. Could you please state your name, who you are, who you're here to represent?
I'm John Kirkpatrick, representing Suez Water, and with me here tonight is the engineering manager, Steve Garabed from Suez, and the project engineer from Creamer is David Rimland.
Okay, you're not going to forget your name tonight.
Not yet.
Okay, you want to walk us through it?
Yeah, so this is the Mayapack site. A total of 14 trees are going to be coming down at this site. They range in sizes from 6 inches to 24-inch diameter. Some of them are a little bit bigger. It is within the 100-foot buffer of the wetland. This is the wetland buffer over here.
The wetland line,
Yes,
not the
wet-
100-foot.
Yes, I'm sorry. This is the wetland line. The buffer line will be included.
100
in the
feet
later
out of
section.
there,
Yes.
so they're well within.
Yes.
Okay, on this particular site, you may want to think about silt fence again on the wetland side, while you're cutting the trees and stuff, just to silting and stuff like that.
If we're only cutting the trees and leaving the stumps, do you still want the silt fence? Because we're not really disturbing the soil.
I'll leave it to your discretion, but when you build the building, you're going to have to put it to silt fence too.
Absolutely,
And you're probably
understood.
going to have to do a mark out. Did you flag the wetland, the line?
I know it was flagged when the survey was done.
I was out there. I saw the wetland delineations. They were still visible.
And when was that done?
I don't know exactly when it was done. I just know they were still visible.
Okay, but they were still visible. Okay. Okay. And then you're gonna plant trees again after. And what's the, quick question on the plantings. The plantings, what kind of guarantee are we getting on those?
I don't know if that's been discussed yet. I don't know if there's a town standard. I think it's typically 2 years.
At 2 years, I think you have to give a bond.
Okay.
But the planning board, I think, would do that.
Right, that's what I expect.
And if they don't, when you get to the ECB, we will. All right, so upon review of this application, again, I need a procedure on how you're performing the work, the type of equipment to be used, landing area, staging, soil erosion measures, stumps, statement on what you're doing with the stumps, drawing depicting the 100-foot buffer, spill kit fueling plan if required, and that's it. So do I have a motion to accept the application for Suez Water, New York, behind the location located behind 34 Coventry Circle, tree cutting of 14 trees with the following conditions. One, need a procedure on how they're performing the work, type of equipment to be used, landing area, staging, soil erosion measures, stumps, statement for the stumps, drawing depicting the 100-foot buffer, spill kit fueling plan if required. Do I have a motion?
I make that motion?
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
This again, also by noon on Monday, okay?
Yes.
And if there's a problem with it, you'll hear. You know,
Okay.
I'll review it. I hope sometime Monday I can review it, and then by Tuesday you should have something, so we should stop work. But it's definitely important that you get back to us on how you plan on cutting this stuff up. You know, if it's chainsaws, you know, that's easy, right? Well, not as easy as a machine, but,
Right,
you know.
right. There aren't that many trees. I mean, I would expect that it's going to be chainsaws. So, but we'll confirm all that. We'll get a plan, and we'll update the drawings and get that back to you.
Okay, one last thing, is any equipment, if you leave there overnight, like a truck, a car, a piece of equipment, you have to store it outside the buffer? Or if you store it inside the buffer, it has to be on 6 mil poly.
I'm sorry, say that again?
You'd have to store it on 6 mil poly,
Okay.
okay? And that you can put in your spill and fueling plan if required, right?
Yes.
So, all right?
All right.
So get this to Rose by Monday, and we should be good.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem, thank you. You guys have any other questions while they're here?
I do not.
No question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are you putting in, 2,000 pound GACs? Carbon units?
So these guys, they're 6-footers and 8-footers.
So either 1,000 or 2,000 pounds.
It was almost like this, I want to say 6,000 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. Dual units, elite lag units. Right, one site, the mail pack site's also going to have needs iron and manganese removal, so we're going to have green sand filtration there. So, yeah.
How often are you gonna change that carbon?
So we think the carbon should last a while. I would expect between 1 and 2 years before changeouts.
You may wanna
Until
check
you-
that.
Until you get in there. We did bench testing, you know, and you know, let's just say the pollutant rates are, I mean, they're very, very, we're right at the limit.
Because I did a lot of groundwater remediation work in my previous life. And, you know, you know, the groundwater, forget the petroleum contaminants and stuff, but the water, after we stripped it out, the water, I mean, we were going through carbon like every quarter. And it was like solid like a rock by the time we got to it, you know? So it's just, you know, just something to watch.
They measure the PFAS in parts per trillion, not parts per billion or parts per million like we have done historically. This is parts per trillion. This is so much lower than what, you know, what we do with all the other pollutants like the VOCs and things. So yeah, it's very, very low levels.
Okay. Just,
Yeah, I mean, until you have it out there, right, you know.
Right, until you have it out there running, you never know.
Running and stuff, but, you know, you're not gonna operate the well at 100% capacity every day of the year. You know, it's gonna vary, so that'll, you know, also factor into how frequently you change out your carbon.
oh, good. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
For yours.
Okay, so with that, any new business?
No.
So do I have a motion to close the meeting?
I make that motion?
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.